Yes, folks, it's Thursday. It's 2 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Central. I'm Fred McMurray, which means this must be, as we always say, and we're back with Kristin and Elizabeth. Hi, ladies. Long time no see. Man, I'm really rocking out on the guitar riffs. What can I say?
Happy Thursday Eve. No, it's not Thursday Eve. It's Friday Eve.
Friday Eve.
It's Beaver Eclipse Eve.
You can tell that I've been crossing time zones and spending way too much time doing other things.
Are you going to watch the big eclipse tonight?
You know, I don't think I'm going to make it up past 7 o'clock, to be honest.
It's the longest eclipse in 600 years, and it'll be another 600 years before a lunar eclipse is this long.
So it's now or never, I guess.
Yeah, I better continue with my Starbucks then.
You should. Because, now, if you believe in the astrological side of it, this is one of those eclipses that has radical happenings. It's one of these things that all the astrologists are going ape shit over it, to the point where big changes are coming, huge enlightenment with respect to Leos. We're supposed to get found and get seen and have this huge awareness created. Makes you go, after last week, doesn't it?
So will you be like carried away into the stars or something?
I thought I already was.
Yeah, I don't know. Just let me know what they say about Sagittarius. You can put it in the chat. We don't need to share.
Okay.
So moving right along.
Moving right along.
So we have actually a lot of news to report.
Gosh, yeah.
As Fred said, long time no see. We saw each other over the last weekend. Had our first in-person Team Pillars planning meeting in Chicago.
Yeah.
Got a little snow, made a few plans, hugged a few people in person. It was exciting.
Oh my gosh. You know, it's one thing, and so many of you probably can relate to this because you may have started relationships with new friends or work folks over the last year and a half while we were in COVID. But there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that replaces meeting people in person. And I'm like a hugger, so for me to be able to be like, oh my gosh, Jerry, oh, it's right. Like, that was huge.
Me too. I'm a hugger.
Yeah, it's like you kind of forget that human element that comes with touching people. And I don't mean inappropriately, Fred, but I mean like really embracing the human element in people. And we got to see Heidi, and we got to meet Jerry's wife and some other really great people. It was really just a fantastic time, and we got to review all of the exciting and upcoming strategic business plans we have going on with the Pillars show, and it was really a great week.
It was fun to wrap up this year and hopefully look forward to a better 2022 for all of us in terms of health and safety around the country. And we'll have lots of plans to announce throughout 2022 in terms of Pillars. Very exciting stuff going on. And then, Kristin, you went straight from that to Orlando. And then you and I had gotten together the week before. So I got 2 weeks of traveling. You're on your third.
Yeah, so 3 weeks straight. And, you know, wow. So it's kind of been this whirlwind, right? So we did all that, and then Saturday night my dad threw a surprise birthday party a month early for me, which was perfect because all of you were in town for that, which is great. It was like just utopia. That was a Saturday night. So
Yeah.
It was a very late night. I think it ended around 3 on Sunday morning. And I was on my way to O'Hare at 4 o'clock the next day, very tired, but put on my game face because I got to join the Franchise Brokers Association with their going the extra mile. What did we call it? It's not a convention, but their gathering. I'll call it that because I always lose my words when I'm on air. And we got to meet over 200 franchisors. So that was amazing. Met some great people, made some great connections. Lots of folks ready to come on the show and share about their companies, share about the values that they as franchisors hold, type of individuals they're looking to come out and buy their franchises. That was some great people in terms of funding. So for people out there who want to get out of the corporate drag, they want to come and look for a business to buy, and they think franchising might be the right way, we've got people, financial strategists, who can help you figure out how to go about doing that. And it was so interesting talking to these people about how many different ways there are to make it happen for folks. So I think that's really exciting. I'm looking forward to having some of them on the show as well.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me toward, in doing that and in getting out and about a little bit more in person, it's easier to get people who can contribute to the magazine for some of these educational resources. So
Yeah.
we've got RJ Grimshaw's in the December one about equipment funding. We've got Kelly Kruger who talks about financing. So we're introducing a lot more value through the magazine, through some of these people as well, but being able to bring them on the show and have them talk about their areas of expertise. You know, we've got a lot of neat things coming up. We're adding a column for women, by a woman for a woman in the magazine as well. So those kinds of things, we can do it by Zoom, but having the opportunities to meet with each other like that and go to conventions and have the team meet together, I mean, the possibilities just become more bountiful.
Well, and you don't think about, for any of you who go out, and whether it's that you're doing networking or you're at some kind of corporate events or any of these things that I just did, there's one thing to meet people, right? But then of course there's always like the after meeting environment, right? Where you're hanging out with somebody, you're having a couple of cocktails, and people kind of let down their corporate guard and you get to know who they are. And so for me, that's the best part, because you can toe your company line and you can tell me all that you need to tell me about your company and all this different stuff. But when you're kind of that raw person and I get to know exactly who you are based on the things you say, the way you say it, the way you carry yourself, the way you treat other people, then I know if you're authentic, right? Like, then I know, do I want to take somebody and help them invest their future in your brand, right?
Exactly. There is something to that personal intimacy. Like when the Pillars team, that was my first meeting everyone except Kristin, who I'd met the week before. And I just thought, oh, thank goodness, everybody's exactly what I thought,
Yeah.
Because you never know, but you have these gut instincts. There's something about, someone's character that comes out in person. So I think we're all excited that we're on the right track, and everybody came out like a shiny little penny.
Yeah. And I have to give a shout out to a couple of the guys that I met that I really enjoyed, and they do, it's not the same work that we do, but they have the same level of integrity, and they do not get influenced by any one franchisor or franchise system. And that's the guys over at Vetted Biz. I spent a lot of time talking to Patrick over there at Vetted Biz. What great guys, a couple of brothers. They pick franchisors and they do deep dives into the metrics and into the good, the bad, and the ugly of these companies and do reviews on them. So I had a great time. I'm going to be on their show. They're going to come on our show in the next month or so. And I think it'll be a great synergy, so that, again, when people call us and say, hey, can you help me buy a franchise? Absolutely. And I've got this power partner now who's done way deep dives on these companies, even more than we can do. We can partner up and make sure, again, that when somebody's leveraging their entire future, we make sure we don't steer them in the wrong direction.
Well, exactly. And that really is Pillars special, because with the mentors, the $1 Million mentors that we have, they are all people who are franchisees who have been successful in what they've done. They understand the risk. They understand that somebody might be putting all of their eggs in this basket of franchising. And it's not just about selling anything. It's about helping you navigate that process to the benefit of you and your family. So I think that's one of the things as helping people buy franchises is really makes this team a special one.
Yeah, it's interesting because and I think sometimes we get caught up in, this was so not only were there all these franchisors there also, but in their funding specialists, insurance people, and all kinds of things. And there were hundreds of brokers there, and all of them wonderful people, and everybody has something really unique to add, right? Everybody offers somebody something a little different. And it was interesting because I explained to them, because they want to know, well, what do you guys do for Pillars when you are looking to sell a franchise? And I said, well, first of all, we don't really sell a franchise, right? We mentor people to ensure that they make the right investment for them in line with what their dreams are, right? Like, I'm not here to sell you anything. I want you to tell me, what is it that you want? Where do you want to be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years? What do you want your future to look like when you retire? Then we delve further into, okay, what else are you looking for, right? And then we go out, and it's kind of like matchmaking, right? So it's kind of like dating. We're trying to find your soulmate in a franchisor. It's like a marriage, right? When you marry your franchise. And things don't work out, of course, then that kind of stuff happens. But that's not the intent. And nobody wants to ever, I know I certainly don't. I don't want to be sold anything. So
right. Nobody does. Yeah, nobody does.
No. So I'm really excited. I mean, like I said, we've got some great opportunities. We're going to have some great franchisors on the show. We'll have lots of opportunity for our listeners to call in and ask these franchisors questions. For those of you who just started listening, don't forget, jot it down. The number is 323-580-5755. If you want to call in, we're about to welcome our next guest on the show. And Ray's going to do his introduction after our commercial. And you can call in and ask some questions as well.
Hey, franchise owners. How's your local marketing? Do you feel like you could use some help keeping up with your social media posts and comments and reviews? Do you wonder if you could be doing more to attract local customers? Are you able to identify new movements to your local area? At Westbine, we help franchisees like you reach more local customers through digital marketing. With daily monitoring, creative content, ad placement, and customer data intelligence, we'll get your business in front of the people who want your products or services. We also work with franchisors who need an agency to handle the digital marketing for all of their locations. If you're ready to reach more local customers, give us a call at 805-265-5440 or visit us at westbine.com. That's 805-265-5440 or westbine with a y.com.
Hello.
Whoop, whoop. Ray, how are you?
So we'd like to welcome Jason Revere, and I'd like to ask Jason a question. Is it oneth by land and twoeth by sea?
I believe that's correct. Yeah, I wasn't there, but I read about it. I think that's right.
Are you related to Are you related to Paul at all? Or
yes, sir. Yeah.
Oh, great, fantastic. That's good to hear. And Jason is with Honest Abe Roofing, a franchisor. And tell us about your franchise. How many franchises do you have, and how did you get started?
Sure, I can do that for you. First off, though, I want to thank you guys. I learned something today and I'm going to use this, by the way, down the road. So I apologize if I'm stealing stuff from you, but you mentioned talking about matchmaking and all of that stuff. I'm gonna start referring to you guys as the eHarmony of franchise sales.
Now,
okay?
only.
Okay. Okay.
Only
Yeah,
if
so there you go.
Only if eHarmony is the number one.
Okay, fair enough.
dating
Yeah.
service, 'cause
So
I want to
yeah.
take
Well,
over.
Or Christian mingle then. But anyway, so back to really why we're here, right? Yes, I am with Honest Abe Roofing franchise, and we've been franchising since really early 2018. I mean, we filed all the nerdy paperwork stuff and did all the lawyer garbage in 2017, but in earnest, we really started pushing this thing in 2018. Had our first franchise come on board in Evansville. It's about 3 hours away from the corporate headquarters in Terre Haute, Indiana. And we wanted to make sure that we did it responsibly. You know, you don't want to franchise out your first franchisee to be in like Alaska. You know,
Right.
that doesn't make any sense. It's really hard to service that. And so we went a couple hours away. Don and Deborah Lanier bought they invested in our first franchise of our existence. And they went out and opened up their business. And so just to share a little bit about some of the background there, when you franchise a business, you don't know what you don't know. I don't know if anybody on the call here has ever franchised a business. I know you guys have purchased into franchises before, but when you're an emerging brand, as they call us in the industry, right? You have no idea what you don't know. And I will tell you, and Don will tell you too. Man, it was a struggle. And it required a lot of heavy lifting from both parties to make up for some of our inefficiencies at the beginning. Right? You don't know what you don't know, and we launched him, and you guys went through your franchise training, I presume, with your franchises that you purchased, and we had training as well. We did it in 1 week. He signed his franchise agreement on a Friday. We gave him the next week to basically prepare. That following Monday, he came in for training. We did 1 week of training. He had his first sale that following Monday.
Wow.
And so it's like lightning fast, right? And man, they jumped out of the gate fast. They did $4.2 million in their first year in business, which is in our FDD, which in the FDD. I'm not breaking any rules here, so don't call the franchise police on me. You look back into the archives of the 2018 FDD, and you'll see that. Anyway. Neither here nor there, but it was thankfully a success, and that's a testament to how strong of an operator Don was, in addition to how strong our simplified business model is. So it was a nice marriage. He had a great skill set for what we were looking for, and after that we were off to the races. Had a couple franchises purchased and invested in that first year. Several more in the following year. Fast forward 3.5 years later, we're at 31 locations, covering about 12 or 13 states. Some of them straddle states, so we got one in Kansas City. So do I count that as 2 states? I don't know about that, but
depends on what side of Kansas City you're in, right?
Yeah, he's on the Missouri side, but he has many sales in Kansas as well. We also have one in Charlotte, North Carolina that services South Carolina as well. So I'll cheat and say we're in like 14 to 100 states. And we're wanting to grow fast, but we're wanting to grow responsibly. Right. And you mentioned kind of where we're at right now. We're at 31 locations, and can I say that every one of them has been an absolute home run like that first one was? No, heck no.
That's right.
Like I said, you don't know what you don't know. We brought in a franchise, at least one franchisee that was just the wrong dude. Just wasn't a good fit. I'll say this: our franchise system was not tailor made for him.
So
you talk about matchmaking,
right?
It's like putting together an evangelical Christian with a meth addict, right? It wasn't a good fit.
Okay, so let me ask you this, Jason. This is a good time for me to ask that question. Then, who is your avatar? What is the ideal candidate? Who out there is listening today that you say, you know what, you're the type of person that we're looking for our company?
Someone not afraid of heights. Go ahead.
Actually, so good. Well said. But I'll back this up a little bit. So. I'll get to the answer, but I'm going to do it in a roundabout way, like I like to do. So, our business model is very simplified, and you guys have pillars, right? You're the pillars of franchising. We have pillars as well. We use the Lincoln Memorial as our kind of illustration of that. So we have those 4 pillars. The 4 pillars are marketing, sales, human resources, and construction management. And that's it. It's a very simple business, right? Get attention, market, sell it, recruit a bunch of people that can do selling and helping with the installs, and then manage partner crews. Some would call them subcontractors. We call them partner crews, and order materials and make sure that the job gets done well, and then rinse and repeat. It's very simple. Very, very simple. Unless, and this is where the avatar comes into play here. By the way, is that like a new term? Because it's only in a couple of years I've heard that. I don't know if the origin is the movie or what, but what we're looking for here is that really strong second pillar: marketing, sales, human resources, construction management. Really, those middle 2 pillars, right?
Okay.
You have to be great at recruiting. You have to be dynamic. Your personality has got to be that of somebody worth following if you're going to be a good leader.
Yep.
Right. You can't be some fly on the wall guy that sits in the corner sucking his thumb. You have to be outgoing. You've got to be dynamic, and you've got to be believable in order to recruit the right people. And what do the right people look like? You've got to recruit a lot of really great salespeople.
So you want contagious leadership.
Yes, I want. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. We want contagious leadership. I mean, contagious these days is a bad word, I think. So we'll leave that alone.
Not like the method.
Yeah, but truthfully, and if because our major strengths as a franchisor are going to be in the marketing side of the business, and really helping them to drive opportunities, drive lead flow, drive things to get in front of. And then we're really great at sales training.
Sure.
Top-notch sales trainers. But you can't train somebody who doesn't have an aptitude to do it. It's impossible.
Right.
You're swimming upstream, right? And it's not fun. It's not fair to anybody. And if it's not within them to be a great sales leader and a great salesperson, it's not a good match.
So
and we've had a couple.
Sure. So let's take a look at today. You've got all these people, getting out of corporate America. Some want passive ownership, and some want more owner operator type of business. Where would you say you are in that spectrum of ownership?
So a while back, I wrote a blog on this very subject: passive income, right? It was like the buzzword of like 2018, passive income. You got all these yahoos on
and there's still
YouTube telling you.
Yeah,
oh, I know.
Right?
Oh yeah, but they really came into fruition there, and talking about, hey, we can teach you how to build an Amazon store and you'll make $1 billion. And it's just all this idiotic stuff, right? And so when you ask what passive income, the answer is absolutely, of course. But passive income requires one thing, and it requires massive action. So if you want passive income, you need to do massive action, especially at the onset.
Yep.
And our strongest, what we look for, and there's always a trade-off, right? So what we look for is somebody who's going to be an owner operator, somebody who's going to be there in the business, drinking the Kool-Aid and then serving it,
right?
As the owner. And we really need that as to propagate the brand to their team. It requires that person who has skin in the game to do it. Or, and this is where the passive, quote unquote, passive income comes into play. You got to have a bunch of money to hire somebody that you can feed the Kool-Aid to, then they can then subsequently feed it to their employees.
Yeah.
And so it's a trade-off. Like you could do this, you could start this business, and I'm not saying this, but you could start this business with literally no money.
Right.
If you stripped away the franchise fee, if you had a dynamic personality and knuckles, you could just walk around the neighborhoods offering services as a roofing company and make millions of dollars doing it.
So most of your installers, I'll call them, are subs. Is that right? You
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so when it comes to scaling a business, right, you can do it two ways. If you're gonna have a construction company, there's two ways of scaling your business. One you get really good at finding partner crews, subcontractors, and then holding them accountable using what we call field managers. So that's one way. Or have like 1,000 employees to do $10 million.
Right.
It's one or the other, and we tend to lean more on the utilizing partner crews because you have so much less. There's just so much less liability. You don't have to worry about hiring and training each individual person. Right? Somebody gets the brown bag flu and calls you on Monday morning. Oh, sorry, boss, I'm not feeling good today. I think I ate something bad. It's like, yeah, I think
the brown bag.
I think you ate 6 bottles of vodka. Yeah, probably why you don't feel good.
You know, in states like Illinois, my first question with that would be, who carries the liability insurance in that case then? Your subcontractor, your partner crews?
Yeah, so that's a loaded question. So there's a lot of complexities that go into this. Each state has their own rules, right? Illinois, spoiler alert, is one of the worst states in the country as far as bureaucracy is concerned. So
we found that out.
Yeah, they're pretty rough. And Florida's not good either as far as licensure is concerned, and California is worse than both of them combined.
Yeah.
And so you do have to carry you do have to carry liability insurance, and you do have to carry workman's comp insurance. Okay, regardless, because you're going to have employees that are going to be dealing with things that are at and or around people's properties, and and you're the general contractor, regardless of whatever state you're in. When it comes to the subcontractors, though, we do require that they carry their own liability and own workman's comp insurance, and they prove it, and they list the franchisee as the additionally insured. And then it acts as a safeguard, which is foolproof, by the way, absolutely foolproof, that if they let their insurance lapse, the insurance company obviously is going to call you because you're the one that's you're the additionally insured. So they're going to pick up the phone every single time. It never happens. And that never fails. No, I'm kidding. So that's one of the things. So you asked back to who we're looking for. It's got to be somebody with an iron stomach, because stuff's going to go bad.
Most franchise owners have iron stomachs, but I think one of the things that is a common theme is EQ, emotional quotient, people who are able to deal with other people easily and sell.
Yep.
Themselves business.
Selling, and then when it comes to the iron gut kind of thing here, you're gonna have days that go really bad for you. You're gonna have potentially have somebody get injured on the job. You're gonna have you tear off a roof, pop-up rainstorm comes, ruins everything in their house. I mean, it's gonna happen regardless. This is the funny, and I always ask people this when doing interviewing for franchise owners, is what business do you want to run? You want to run a $500,000 to $1 million business, $1 million to $2 million, $2 to $3 million, $4 to $5 million, $5 to $10 million, whatever. And everybody always says, well, $5 to $10 million. Because everybody has hubris. They've all got hubris in them. Yeah, $5 to $10 million. Is that cool? You know what that looks like? A $10 million business is 700 installs a year. You're going to be running. You're on any given day. You're going to be running about 6 crews.
Yep.
Okay, with lots of stuff going on, lots of things happening, and then all juggling that, all the while, every single day, meeting with your sales team, training your sales team every single day to make sure that they keep getting better, and then also recruiting. And so there's just so many things, and I liken it to a whack-a-mole. You remember the old pizza parlor game, whack-a-mole, and like every time you're whacking real hard on the sales mole, all of a sudden install mole pops up, and you got to go over here. Then who's paying attention to sales mole?
Yeah.
And it takes a lot.
So that almost sounds like the day in the life, right, of any small business owner to some regard, right? So that could qualify in so many different ways, and I think that kind of explains a typical day in the life of an Honest Abe owner, right there, right? But in all seriousness, tell us about we've got some people writing, and they want to know, tell us about what types of training you provide to your new franchisees. Yeah, good. So we've thankfully evolved since our first franchise. I shared that story earlier. We now do a really comprehensive thing, and it's really 4 parts. Okay, so we have online training, and all of them are on, by the way. I like marketing, so we say our training is on. So it's online. Starting off, we have an Honest Abe University
which is a video-based training platform that teaches each individual job that is within the company. So inside sales, salespeople, canvassing. So junior roofing advisors, guys go out and knock on doors, field managers, office managers, and everything under the sun, right? So they graduate from that. They get their little Honest Abe University certificate. So they have a base level knowledge, and then it goes to on-site.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they come in. It's classroom training. We get them to understand what they do. We role play a lot with regard to situations and specifically in the sales arena. All right, we're not sitting around showing people how to put nails in shingles. That's idiotic.
Right.
Like, yeah, get online and look, YouTube that if you need to do it. But
take them to Habitat for Humanity. That's how I learned how to roof.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll send them out on a couple of Habitat jobs, and they'll learn the trade that way. But we really focus heavily on what's going to drive revenue, right? Mm-hmm. And so they learn all of that driving revenue stuff. Not only do they learn how to do it, but they learn how to coach it, which is really important because they're going to be the ones hiring, training, retaining those salespeople. They graduate from that. Then we have on-the-job training where we go and let them run their operation for a period of time, usually a week or two after they leave training. They get that done, so it's really on-the-job training, like you're doing it,
sure.
And then ongoing. And this is the component that I see a lot of franchisors really. They do it. Some of them do a great job, some do an okay job, and then some do no job whatsoever. And this is the ongoing component to it. And we really believe that consistency is going to win the day, because you can't teach somebody how to become a great salesperson in 1 day or 1 week or 3 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever. It's ongoing, right? The sales ability, and really any ability, atrophies after a certain amount of time of not refreshing it. And that's where the ongoing training comes into play. And we've got each one of the franchise owners has a franchise liaison that they have weekly, what we call congressional sessions with. So it's just an hour-long checkup of their business, right? We're look at all the KPIs, discuss strategy and things we can go, and that goes on in perpetuity. It goes on forever, not just year 1, 2, 3, or 4, whatever, because things are going to pop up. Every Tuesday. No, you're fine. Every Tuesday we have the what we call the Tuesday Hustle. It's a sales training webinar that we broadcast out to each one of our franchise locations for not just for them, the owners, but for the entire sales team. And that's a really important component, not only to training, but also to retaining, right? So now they see, number one, that it's a big organization. We've got hundreds of salespeople that work within our company, and they get to see their peers from, in Miami all the way up to Kansas City. And so they get to see all these people, and it really works in twofold there to solidify their training and also to solidify the belief in continuing to work for the company. And so that's really what our training looks like. Hopefully that answered the question. There's a lot more to it than that, but
sure.
One of the things that I was impressed with, I was looking at an interview you did last year, and you said you had 20 franchises at that time. Now you're saying you have 30 something. That's pretty good growth.
Yeah, we're growing quickly, not as quickly as our throughput is. I believe we can grow faster and have more, but we're getting very, very, very selective.
Yeah.
And it's because we want to avoid the dreaded transfer, or guy goes out of business or whatever, because this isn't it's not a Jamba Juice. Like this isn't you flip the lights on, right. Somebody comes in, the instruction manual is take fruit, pour in blender, turn blender on, pour contents in a cup, serve,
We have to protect the integrity of the brand. I mean, especially a brand like Honest Abe, right? I mean,
certainly.
A high integrity brand. And sometimes if you're not selective, you can really easily dilute the quality of owners that you have. And before you know it, your reputation can become very tarnished. I think
for sure. And it's just, again, it's not fair to put somebody in a position for which they're not made.
Yeah. Well,
and we all have our gifts, and to run this business model, you have to have a very specific skill set.
Yep.
Or a ton of money.
Yeah.
So let's talk about money.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the next question on my list from the listeners.
I know, I'm going to steal it from you. I'm going to steal it from you. So what does it take? What does it take to get, what is the franchise fee and what net worth are you looking for in an individual?
Our franchise fees vary because, who wants things to be easy? It's a tiered program. So it depends on the location that you're in. And I believe, I'm not, I have no proof of this, but I believe that we have the most generous territory of any home service franchise that exists in the way that we delineate our territories. Some of our peers will do it by population. You got 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever population, and they'll cram like 5 franchise locations into Columbus, Ohio. That's idiotic. You just can't do it. I don't know about you, but I like advertising on TV. Does TV hit everybody? Yeah, it does. Do I want to get every one of those calls? Heck yeah. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And so when we parsed out our territories, it's gone through a handful of iterations, but this is the one we're currently on. We give them out in MSAs, metropolitan statistical areas. Okay, so whatever the government considers a place, right?
Yeah.
And it ranges from the top 30 markets we consider mega markets, 31 to 75 we consider, or 31 to 70 we consider primary markets. 71 through 125 we consider secondary markets, and then everything smaller than that we consider a tertiary market.
Recording in progress.
Oh boy, recording was stopped. Are we good? All right, cool. All right.
Those were for
don't panic. Fred's got everything under control.
Yeah, those are the franchise fees.
Okay, and then what are you looking for them to have in terms of net worth?
All right, so that's another loaded question. So net worth, right? Everything's a trade-off.
Right.
If somebody comes to us and they have got what it takes, we're going to do whatever it takes to get them the dollars they need to run the business.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And so, but if somebody comes in and they are lacking in a specific area, specifically sales and recruiting, we need to see a much higher net. It's not necessarily net worth, because net worth is worthless, right? You can't really take net worth and buy anything with it. So we look for cash on hand. How much liquid do you have available? What's your credit like, and how much can we get you? And so if it's somebody that's a little bit on the lower end, we need to see a higher amount. And so all in investment to get this thing up and running is anywhere from 150 to 300 and some odd thousand, 360,000 to do it, depending on the market size, and then depending on how just irresponsible I guess you are with your with your investment. We've had some people invest lots of money to open one of these things up, and sometimes that happens because, again, the hubris comes out and they want all new stuff and everything, and before you know it, you're at 400 grand and it's an issue. Yeah. Right. You can start this business for under $365,000 in almost every situation.
Now, the chatter out there wants to know, for that kind of an investment, do they get a hat? Do they get a Lincoln hat?
That's an additional $70,000, depending on your head size, of course. We have a tiered program with your head size.
Oh my goodness. Jason, in all seriousness, how does somebody get a hold of you if they are interested in buying your brand?
Yeah, absolutely. Can I unless it's later on, can we talk average unit volume before we start talking contact info?
Sure,
that's what you guys are all here for, right? I mean, everybody's watching this. We're not running a charity here. And our average unit volume for single location. In last year's FDD, $2.1 million average. So if you're watching the show, any of this, the millions of viewers out there, if you're average, if you view yourself as average, that's kind of what that gets you within our company here. And of course, we have to approve you still and all that. So hopefully you're not as average as you think you are. Top end, we can talk top end here. Last year, our top performing franchise location did $6.8 million of revenue. Single location franchise. And spoiler alert again, check back on next year's FDD. I bet you those numbers are going to be higher. But again, so that's what's possible. I'll quote oh gosh, what's his name? He was in Boiler Room. Shoot, flubbed the joke, so never mind. That's what's possible. Let me tell you what's required. I think it's the line from Boiler Room. Anyway, Ben Affleck is his name, by the way. Ben Affleck. Anyway, so that's average unit volume, and that's what's possible here. On the low end, you're looking, less than that, but don't be there, or you're going to end up going out of business because you'll die from stress.
Yeah.
How long do you think it takes the average person once they start their franchise to get that 1.3 million?
Oh, that's a
profitability.
Yeah. So our goal is to be cash flow positive in month 1.
In what?
In the first month.
Wow, that's pretty good.
If we don't, we haven't done our job.
Yeah, excellent. That's great. Yeah.
Well, that's where those validation calls come in to really help people. Be able to talk to you and stuff. So that's excellent. So can you tell our listeners what the best way is to get in touch with you if they want some more information?
Yes, I can. So there's a couple different ways. First off, hit up our YouTube channel. Just get on YouTube, Honest Abe Roofing Franchise. In the search bar, you'll find us. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff that you need to do. We do have a video on there that is where you're gonna have to call us, or you're gonna have to get yourself vaccinated because we're going viral. We made a parody video last year for our Christmas party of Mike Lindell.
I saw that. Fantastic.
We call it My Shingle. Yeah, thanks.
Oh, it was great. I was just laughing my butt off over here.
I appreciate that. Yeah, good. So all you viewers out there, get on the YouTube and watch the video, please, and like and subscribe. So that's one way. Best way, in all seriousness, is go to roofingfranchise.com or honestaberoofingfranchise.com if you like typing. Either way, they'll take you to the same place. And just click one of the 10 million forms that are on there. Fill it out. One of our franchise advisors will reach out to you and start the process and see if this is right for you and see if you're right for us. And if you are, it can truly be a life-changing thing for you. The franchises that do well, I know them personally, and it's changed their not only their lives but their future family trees.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And so it's possible, but again, nothing that is
for free, right?
Yeah, nothing that has this much potential is easy. It's simple. It's very, very simple, but it ain't easy. So those are the best ways to get a hold of us: LinkedIn, Facebook, all the other.
Awesome. And we'll of course have it all posted on our website for you too, with all of the links. And I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. And I am really interested in having you back on over this next year when your new FDD comes out. Let's talk about the exciting changes that you've made in it and some of the new numbers and things, and specifically what markets you're going to target for growth and things of that nature.
Perfect.
Excellent.
I'm always available. What are you guys doing next Thursday?
We'll be right here.
We'll be right here.
Hey, cool. Same link? Same link? All right. I'm here.
So I'll be here.
Right,
Thanks,
cool.
Jason.
Thank you so much, Jason. Have a great day.
I'll be here, but next Thursday is Thanksgiving, folks.
I forgot to mention my great friends that I met this week down at the show, and I'm not on video right now because something happened, but I have to get a shout out to my new friends over at Snapology. And if you could see me, you would see that I have this really cool alligator that they gave, and they are a new STEM style type of business for kids. And it's kind of like a Lego, but it's not. It's Snap. Snapology is a cool new franchise. And I have to give a shout out to my dear friend Keith who helped me put it together because I don't do directions. And even though the box said for 5 and up, I was not able to do it. And I think that's why they do it with your kids at Snapology. So thank you to you guys over at Snapology, Jeff, and oh my goodness, Mr. Barker, I'm so sorry, Josh. Thank you for my little alligator. Elizabeth, are you on?
I am here. There we go. So up next, we have some really exciting news. Jerry is having quite a big week this week. So he is going to come on and discuss the launch of his book. And I'm going to tell you where you can find it now, and then we'll remind you later on in the show. If you go to liveittownit.com, which is liveittownit.com, you can order it today. You can order it on Kindle to download digitally, or you can order a hard copy. I did both. And then he's also launching The Joint, his location in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, on Saturday at 10 a.m. next to Buff City Soap. So Jerry's got a lot of things to discuss. We got all excited when we had our meeting last weekend about his book launch, and there's all that information is also on all of our social media and on his website, liveittownit.com. So stay tuned. Here comes Jerry to share all of his excitement. He's probably wiped out.
He probably is. Jerry! Oh, I see you, Jerry. We're going to get you on screen very soon. I got to tell you, I started reading your book as soon as I got my email on my flight home yesterday.
Well, you have to tell me more, Kristin. You can't leave it at that. I mean, did it put you to sleep, or did you learn something, or what?
Well, let me just say, the book did not put me to sleep. It was like the 2 o'clock in the morning on the alarm clock that put me to sleep. But I have to tell you, my favorite part, what I found so engaging, is the part where you were a little boy and you wanted to play in the MLB. And the baseball glove. So let me tell you, and this is a real story. So first of all, that was my brother, right? And he did get to go play for the Cardinals. He played AAA for them. And so that story really struck me. The Boys Life magazine struck me because I was a Cub Scout leader for many years. I was like, oh my God, it's Boys Life. I remember those. And I grew up on those country dirt roads. So when you talked about riding your bike that country mile, it's truly a mile to the next house. I mean, it just resonates with people what you went through and how your journey started in working hard to seek out what you wanted.
Well, you know, I think all of us have a journey, and it's got to have a beginning and an end. And I think for many of us that are franchisees or entrepreneurs overall, it started with stories similar to that, you know, where we had that first business, whether it was a paper route or working in a grocery store or a gas station or whatever it was. And I did many of those things. Mm-hmm. But the first one was when I wanted that baseball mitt so that I could start my path to Cooperstown, which of course, you know, took a different path, but it was an experience. And as I shared, I don't know if you got to, you probably didn't, but in the virtual book launch yesterday, I talked about, you know, growing up in that situation, you learn work ethic, you learn self-reliance, you learn problem solving, you learn a long list of things that serves business owners really well as they move forward. So that's where it all started, Kristin.
Yeah, well, I'm so excited. Tell us some more about the book and the journey. I was reading the oh gosh, here I am with my words again, but the beginning, we'll call it, about your co-author as well. And he's got some interesting stuff. You always talk about him riding in the pointy end of the plane. And so that made me laugh because he called it just that as he did his, was it the prologue? My daughter would kill me for not knowing that word.
Well, Dr. Jeff Kaplan is really more of a brother to me now after 6 years of working on this project, and some other things were going to be rolling out here shortly associated with it. And the bottom line is he became a world-renowned keynote speaker and thought leader, and works with some of the largest companies in the world. I won't mention them. There might be some privacy issues, but literally Fortune 10 companies, Fortune 50 companies. And so he spent several years truly riding in the pointy end of the plane, the expensive seats that most of us don't sit in very often, and going to, Russia and France and Germany and all over the place for working with these large groups. In the meantime, he wrote 4 best-selling business books in conjunction with other people. So he's extremely well-read and educated, understands the business world. But this whole franchising thing was a new animal to him. He will admit that he looked at small business and franchising being a part of that as not big business and everything that goes with that, because he really got kind of comfortable riding in the pointy end of the plane and being in very expensive hotel rooms and eating with the finest cuisine. And so it was eye-opening and a little shocking to him to realize that in the franchise world, you can own multiple locations and you can turn into a fairly large business over a period of time. Yeah. And so this whole process has been a learning process for him as well. Literally every day when we talk, I teach him more things about the franchise industry. I just did that this morning. Had a sit down with him to debrief after the book launch yesterday. And we were talking about things that he's never even considered that came out of that. So yeah, very good stuff. The book, you want to know more about it? The book, I hear so many stories, and certainly I heard them when I was doing business consulting. But now that I've been a franchisee for a long time and worked with franchisees in a lot of different systems, I hear so many stories of failure. Unfortunately, we don't celebrate successes in the world as much as we should. We talk about the failures. And failures for me are a learning opportunity so that I never go down that path again. But for some people, they're catastrophic. And you have, people that put their life savings into a franchise that maybe wasn't suited for them. Maybe they made a bad decision and so on. And I heard so many of those stories, and it just tore my heart out because franchising has been so good to me and my family. Right. And so with my experience and background and Jeff moving along with me to help co-author it, it felt like the right time and the right thing to do to write a book that helps people as they're analyzing, first off, if they should be a franchisee or not. Yeah. Secondly, how to choose a franchise that best suits them. What are the warning signs and what are the things they should consider? And it leads them all the way through the process. It talks about Discovery Day, where you meet your new partners, the franchisors. It talks about, how to make decisions about real estate, how to hire people, how to build an organization, how to do marketing for, guerrilla marketing and those types of things to help build your business, all the way to what's your exit strategy after you've been doing this for a while. Do you have a second generation, your children that want to come in, or why, or maybe your general manager, you want to turn that over to them or something like that. And it's literally a journey. It's boots on the ground, grassroots, right down in the mud and grit and dirt. Yeah, about that path. And our goal is to save people a lot of misplaced money by buying the wrong franchise, and to expedite and make simpler their process to where they're cash flowing and making profit and living a little more comfortably and getting rewarded for their efforts.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, and I was really fortunate to work with somebody great when we bought our business, but certainly when David and I work with people to help them determine, again, not only if franchising is right for them, but what franchise brand is good for them, is we do a survey to kind of see, sometimes people have these hidden things about themselves. And we ask questions like, do you like working with people? How many people is the right number of people? And you ask all these questions to kind of get an idea of what type of personality are they? What size of business do they want to have? Do they want something that they want to be working in every day versus something that they just want to manage from afar? And that's that whole, like I was talking to Jason at Honest Abe, right? Making sure that you are like a matchmaker, right? You got to find that missing piece to your puzzle and make sure that when they're investing their life savings into a franchise, and we know franchises are wildly more successful in the first 2 to 5 years than a regular entrepreneurial business is, because there's a proven model. But it has to be the right model for them. And it's not a one size fits all. You don't just say, oh yeah, that franchising is good, because there are so many different models out there. We do have somebody on the line who wants to know why you went into franchising.
Well, I had owned parts of many businesses, a couple of them wholly, but many of them I was a minority partner in when I was doing business consulting. Sometimes that's what happens. You end up with part of a company because of your involvement in it or something. And I love that. And I could run my own business without any help. Ran a multi-million-dollar company in that time frame. But the fact is, franchising it's just so much easier. When you take a company that you put under your wing and you start it from scratch, it's all you. 100% of the time, it's you. You got to do everything in that thing. When you buy a franchise, the franchisor's got most of the details worked out. They line you up with suppliers. They line you up with a design for your new establishment if it's a retail type. I mean, so much work is done for you, and it's, in my opinion, much easier to ramp that up into multiple locations. In my case, multiple brands now. The two brands that I'm primarily interested in right now, Great Clips and The Joint Chiropractic. I don't cut hair, and I'm not a doctor. Now, if you want to open those things and you're just an entrepreneur, you need to be licensed in one of those two areas. But in this case, I do not need to do that. I simply need to run the business, understand the business side of it, and hire great people to do the technical side. And by the way, most of those technical people don't really want to run the business. They don't like the business side. Yeah. So it's a match made in heaven where I can bring my expertise in business to it and not have to understand the technical side of it other than just how to manage technical people. And they bring the technical side, and they don't have to ever look at a spreadsheet, deal with the banker, insurance company, or state again.
Right. Yeah, and don't you find like that's the best part about understanding? We talked very early on about the only way I can be successful and have 4 Molly Maid territories is that I know where my weaknesses are, right? And you have to identify, what am I really good at and what am I not so good at? And whoever you hire to be your partner or your management team, they need to fill in where you're not strong or in those areas that you don't like. And that's how you're able to expand and grow.
Right. And to add on to that, many people, even if they're really good, if they want to become a franchisee and they're great at the business side, there's still points in the business side where they may not be comfortable. Maybe it's hiring, maybe it's real estate, maybe it's marketing. And when you're part of a franchise, you get tons of support from the franchisor in those areas. So again, they've written the map. They've got it all down. They will lead you along the path and support you. So if you've got niches where you're not good, you get support even from that side.
Yeah, and I love the franchise community. I mean, we didn't talk about that, but the franchise community in general, whether it's your brand or a brand similar to yours, there are so many great groups out there. Like, our brand is good. Molly Maid, we have, well, at one point we had 15 owners here in Chicago that you can trade, ideas with. And I know you talk to your Great Clips people all the time, and the Joint's talking to everybody all the time. And I mean, that's really the beauty of having that. And you're all going through the same things. So we have another person who wants to know, what are the top 3 reasons people fail at a franchise?
Well, I'll tell you number one, and number one's really easy for me. Number one is they pay for a franchise and then think they're smarter than the franchise that they bought, and they start recreating it in their own image. They should have gone out and started their own business instead of buying a franchise.
Yep.
The franchise system is semi-bulletproof if you do it their way. Yep. But I see it time and time and time again where they buy it, they recreate it, and then they blame the franchisor because it doesn't work, when really they need to look in the mirror. So that's, in my opinion, the number one reason. Number 2 goes back to why I started this path with the book. You have chosen the wrong franchise, because there might be 80% of the franchises out there that would be great for you, but that other 20% is not, and you may very likely fail. And that may not be your fault. It might be because of the franchisor. Yep. So being able to, again, the book talks about, how to judge some of those franchisors and the warning things to look for and the questions to ask when you meet with them. So choosing the wrong franchisor, I think, is number two. And the third one, and this will happen with any business, not just franchising, being undercapitalized, not having access to enough cash. So when you take out a bank loan to open any business, but in this case, a franchise, make sure that you have either a line of credit beyond the original loan or extra money in that loan to handle cash flow, because most franchisors can give you some kind of an idea based on the FDD when you should reach break even and start making profit.
Yes.
And then it's just a math equation. If you need, 6 months or 8 months or 12 months of cash flow money, figure out what all of your costs are, take it times that number, put a 10% fudge factor on top of it and add that to your loan.
Right.
And then manage it the way that you budgeted it. Don't use it for other stuff, only for those things. And by golly, you won't have trouble with capitalization with most franchises if you do those things. Top 3 reasons.
Yeah, I agree with all those. I think there's a lot of ways to make sure that you choose the right brands. I mean, all 3 of the additional territories I bought were the wrong fit, every single one. And the undercapitalization, Ray talks about it a lot of times too. And for our models, we found that whatever they tell you need, it's 2.5 times, right? That's just how our model has worked. The other key component to that, when you're buying a franchise, one of your critical steps is to call and validate with other owners. So in the validation process, that's when you take your business plan. That's when you take all the information that you've gathered from the FDD and you call people that own those franchises and you say, listen, I built my business plan. This is what I have. Does that sound right? Is that in line with what you experienced? We took the FDD and it gave me the cost for workers' comp insurance. Well, let me tell you, that was Michigan workers' comp. I'm in Illinois.
Right.
Times that by 3, right? And those poor saps in California, take the 3% and add another, 1.5 on top of that. So there's a lot of things that when you're buying a franchise, the models are fantastic. The support can be great, but there are still nuances. And it's really important when you're building those plans. On top of using the FDD information, you've got to reach out to owners. And if you find owners in the validation process that don't want to talk to you, owners that are kind of sour, owners that ask the question, would you buy this brand again? And if they say no, that is a genuine large red flag.
Well, you hit it on the head with the validation process. I'm a validator for Great Clips, and I like to give it to them straight. There are many things that brokers don't talk about when they're selling a franchise. Not always intentionally, maybe it just doesn't come up in the conversation. And those things can be a big surprise. And if you've already bought the franchise, they can be devastating surprises.
Yeah.
So the validation process is a chance where you get to talk to people doing what you are going to be doing. And they've been doing it a while. They face the same battles you're going to be facing. Theoretically, they can keep you from maybe making a bad decision, but at the very least, they can smooth your way through that process by explaining the roadblocks you're going to run into, how they got around it, some best practices, those types of things. So in fact, what I do, most validators may not do this, but I offer my email. And if they choose to move forward with that brand, I tell them, get a hold of me and I'll happily, kind of walk you through the next steps and be a sounding board when you run into trouble. But in reality, Kristin, the book is designed to fill a lot of gaps for a lot of people going through that process, because not all franchisors are created equal. Some of them will not give you as much support as I think they should. So I'm trying to make up for the gaps where they're not doing it. And hopefully, if things keep moving forward, we'll have our learning platform up shortly, and that'll give franchisees or potential franchisees access to unlimited information related to franchising.
I can't wait. I'm tearing through that book. And for those of you out there, just a reminder that it's Live It, the number 2, Own It by Jerry Akers. And it is a very easy read. I mean, I love it because it's not complicated. It's not over technical. And it's just, as you are, Jerry, it's just straight talk, very conversationalist. So hopefully you all can get out there and take a look at the book. You can download it in digital. You can order it in paper, whatever your preference happens to be. And I thank you for sharing it. And I can't wait to see the digital platform that's coming, because we're looking to really take a good hard look at that. And we want to go ahead and make sure that we mention next week's guest. Well, next week we have our Thanksgiving show. I can't believe it. I'm still stuck thinking it's September. That's how time flies. You know what I mean? Start traveling around and it's like, holy cow. So we have Pete First of Bright Star Care. And I think I met some of those folks down there in Orlando. And he will be on our show, and we wish everybody a really happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to check out Jerry's book again at Live It, #2, Own It, Live It to Own It. We want to thank Jason for coming on from Honest Abe Roofing, Jason Revere. And we also have to make sure that we make sure that you all share and comment on this episode. We know that some of you watching on YouTube, we had a technical difficulty on there. Hopefully the other platforms are still rolling right along. We'll get YouTube back up, and next week's show, or last week's show that didn't air, should be fixed here hopefully by the end of the week. You'll be able to watch the Live from Chicago show. I'm Kristin Selmeczy, your $4 million mentor, and together we are your resource for franchising. We wish you all